Mike Torres sat rigid in his dimly lit office, Silicon Valley's neon pulse flickering beyond the glass. The email from Elena Vasquez burned on his screen. Sophia's project is compromised. My office, 9 a.m. His gut churned, a sour knot tightening. At 40, he'd forged Torres Tech's defenses, shielding his father's dream. Sophia, his little sister, shone brighter, her AI dazzling investors. Now, whispers of hacked accounts pointed to her, and his old college passwords, shared in a reckless prank, haunted the logs. Did I push her too hard? He muttered, voice cracking, hands hovering over the keyboard. Family first, or the truth? The question clawed at him, raw and unyielding, as memories of her wide-eyed sketches flooded back, dreams he'd buried under code. The screen dimmed, but the past flared brighter, pulling him toward the fracture he'd ignored too long. Mike leaned back in his chair, the hum of servers a faint pulse beneath Silicon Valley's restless buzz outside. Torres Tech's glass walls gleamed like a beacon, a dream Luis Torres carved from nothing, a Mexican immigrant who'd traded a mechanic's wrench for a coder's keyboard in the 90s. Mike, at 40, had armored it with firewalls, his life's work to shield Papa's legacy. Sophia, 35, was the spark. Her AI startup, Luz Innovate, dazzling VCs with algorithms that predicted markets like a seer. Luis had handed her $2 million to launch it, a proud grin splitting his weathered face, while Mike got a pat on the back and keep it safe, Miguel. He rubbed his stubbled jaw, the weight of that choice pressing down. I'm the grunt, she's the star, he muttered, eyes tracing the framed photo on his desk. Luis, Sophia, him, arms linked at the company's first pitch event. Sophia's laugh had lit the room. Mike's quiet nods kept it grounded. He'd skipped vacations, poured sweat into security patches, while she jetted to conferences, her Patek Philippe glinting. A gift from a client he'd never meet. Familia primero, Luis preached. But Mike felt the sting of second place. Had he pushed her too far, or not enough? The email from Elena still glowed, a shadow creeping over his pride. He saw Sophia at 10, sketching wild machines on napkins, begging him to build them. You're the genius, Mikey, she'd said, eyes bright. Now, her genius might be his undoing. He gripped the photo, glass cool against his palm, the past a fragile thread unraveling toward a fight he couldn't forget. Mike's office faded as memory yanked him back 2 years, to the Torres Tech courtyard alive with Dia de los Innovadores. Marigolds glowed under string lights, a fusion of Dia de los Muertos and Silicon Valley swagger. Luis's idea to honor roots and hustle. Mike stood by the stage, arms crossed, watching Sophia pitch her AI to a crowd of VCs, her voice electric. This changes everything, she declared, eyes blazing, while he tracked server pings, sweat beading under his collar. Later, in the shadow of a food truck, he'd cornered her, voice low. Your project's a sieve, Sophia. $500,000 more for security, or I'm pulling the plug. Her laugh cut sharp. You don't get it, Mikey. I'm not your puppet. I need freedom, not your leash. She flung her tablet down, cracking its edge. Mike's fists clenched, heat rising. Freedom? You'll tank Papa's dream with your reckless shit. Luis shuffled over, cane tapping, face creased with worry. Basta, hijos. Familia primero, he rasped. But Sophia spun on him too. Tell that to your guard dog. I'm done. She stormed off, heels clicking through the crowd, leaving marigolds crushed underfoot. Mike kicked a chair, the thud lost in the mariachi drift. "She's a spoiled brat," he growled. But Luis' hand gripped his shoulder, trembling. "You pushed her away, Miguel?" The words sank like stones. He'd wanted to protect, not break, yet her silhouette, vanishing into the night, carved a hollow in his chest. Back in his office, the photo trembled in his grip, Sophia's grin a ghost of that day. Did I start this? He wondered, the hum of servers mocking his control. The email's shadow loomed larger now, a crack about to split wide open. Mike jolted upright, the office chair creaking as his phone buzzed wildly on the desk. The screen flared with an X notification. A tech blog's post pinned at 10K retweets. Torres Tech breached, $10 million, vanishes, Sophia Torres AI implicated. His breath caught, sharp as glass. He tapped the link, eyes scanning. Sophisticated hack, loose innovates code, flagged, clients gutted. No call, no text. Sophia's silence screamed louder than the headline. He slammed the phone down, the thud echoing off glass walls, Silicon Valley's glow outside mocking his firewalls. She wouldn't, he growled, but the doubt gnawed like rust. He'd patched her systems himself, hours hunched over code while she sipped lattes at pitch meetings. Now, her AI, her baby, was a dagger in their back. His fingers flew to X, scrolling. Sophia's a genius. Torres Tech's done. The praise stung worse than the blame. He saw her at 15, hacking his laptop for laughs, giggling, "You're too slow, Mikey." Had that game turned real? The photo from Dia de los Innovadores stared back from his desk, her grin now a mask he couldn't read. 10 million. Gone. His chest heaved, pulse racing, anger, fear, betrayal, tangling tight. Elena's email pulsed in his mind. Compromised. He grabbed his keys, knuckles white, needing answers she wouldn't give. The hum of servers faded as he stormed toward the door, the weight of her absence and Luis's trust crashing down, demanding he face her next. Mike burst into Torres Tech's sleek conference room, the glass table reflecting Sophia's cool smile as she leaned back, arms crossed. Elena sat beside her, brows furrowed, tapping a tablet. "It's a glitch, Mike," Sophia said, voice smooth as silk. "Some bug in the AI, nothing intentional." Her eyes, dark, unreadable, locked on his, daring him to doubt. "A glitch?" he snapped, slamming his phone down, the X post glaring up. 10 million doesn't vanish by accident, Sophia. Elena shifted, hesitating. "She's got logs showing updates, Mike. Could be a coding error." Sophia's lips twitched, a victor's smirk he'd seen at a dozen pitch wins. He paced, boots thudding on polished concrete, the air thick with her perfume. Too calm, too perfect. "You're buying this?" he growled at Elena, but her silence stung worse than words. His phone buzzed. Hospital. Luis Torres, admitted. Mike's chest tightened, keys jangling as he bolted out, Sophia's gaze trailing him like a shadow. In the sterile hospital room, Luis lay frail under flickering lights, tubes snaking from his arm. "Miguel," he rasped, voice a ghost of its old thunder. "What's this about Sophia?" Mike gripped the bedrail, metal cold against his palms. "She might have screwed us, Papa. Hacked the company." Luis's eyes widened, then softened, pleading. "Fix it quiet, hijo. Familia primero. Don't let her fall." The words hit like a punch, echoing Dia de los Innovadores, when Mike had pushed her away. He stumbled back, breath ragged. She's playing them all, he thought, seeing her charm twist Elena, now Luis, his rock, into pawns. The heart monitor beeped, relentless, as guilt and fury warred inside him. He'd built those defenses for them, not her lies. The door clicked shut behind him, Sophia's smug face flashing in his mind, pulling him toward the code he had to crack next. Mike stormed back to his office, the hospital's antiseptic sting still clinging to his jacket. The server room's cold hum greeted him as he yanked his laptop open, fingers slamming keys to pull Sophia's AI code. Lines scrolled fast, clean, elegant, hers, until a buried subroutine snagged his eye. His breath hitched, his old college password, Mikey Sophia 99, hard-coded into the access logs, timestamped with the $10 million breach. No way, he hissed, chair screeching as he shoved it back. She'd used their shared prank code, a relic from late-night dorm hacks, to gut Torres Tech. He raked a hand through his hair, pulse hammering. She planned this, he muttered, but doubt crept in like damp fog. Sophia, at 20, coding beside him, laughing. You're the shield, I'm the sword. Perfect team, right? Had he missed her brilliance? Envied it? He'd locked her budget, called her reckless. Maybe he'd pushed her to this. The screen blurred, his reflection a tired shadow over her work. Am I the asshole here? He wondered, knuckles whitening on the desk edge. His phone pinged. X again. Sophia's a visionary. Mike's choking innovation. The tech community's roar swelled. A dozen DMs from coders he'd mentored. Back off, man. She's the future. He hurled the phone. It cracked against the wall, screen spiderwebbing. Luis's plea echoed. Fix it quiet. But the code didn't lie. She'd turned his trust into a weapon, and he'd handed her the keys years ago. A memory flashed. Sophia at 12, crying when he fixed her busted robot. You always save me, Mikey. Now she'd saved herself, and he was drowning. He stood, pacing, the server's hum a taunt. Jealousy or justice? The question gnawed, splitting him open. Every line he traced tightened the noose. Her charm had blinded Elena, Luis, maybe him too. The cracked phone buzzed again, a chorus of Silicon Valley turning on him, and he knew the world outside was closing in fast. Mike slumped against the server room wall, the cracked phone vibrating relentlessly on the floor. Silicon Valley's neon skyline pulsed beyond the glass, a world turning its back. He scooped it up, thumb swiping through X. Sophia's a trailblazer, Mike's a dinosaur. A blogger he'd beers with last month posted, Torres Tech's gatekeepers killing innovation. His chest burned, a low growl escaping. They don't know shit, he muttered, but the flood kept coming. Coders he'd trained, now tweeting, Free Sophia, let her fly. He stumbled to his desk, the photo of Luis, Sophia, and him trembling in his grip. Their smiles mocked him, family first, now a punchline. A DM popped up, Ravi, his old intern. Dude, you're the bad guy here, back off. Mike's fist slammed the desk, wood groaning, coffee splashing. He'd taught Ravi his first script, and now this? Sophia's charm had woven a web, her glitch excuse blooming into a martyrdom tale online. She's got them all, he thought. The hum of servers, a hollow echo of his control slipping. He saw her at 17, dazzling their high school tech fair, him clapping in the back. Proud, not threatened. Now, that pride curdled into something sour. His phone buzzed again. A live stream link. Sophia Torres, visionary or victim? Comments rolled. Mike's jealous. Torres Tech's done. He crushed the device in his palm, glass biting skin, blood streaking. The community he'd built was hers now, and he stood alone, evidence piling like bricks around a sinking man. Luis's plea, don't let her fall, rang hollow against the roar outside. He staggered to the window, breath fogging the pain. The world saw a tyrant, not a brother betrayed. The tribunal loomed, a storm he couldn't outrun, gathering force beyond the glass. Mike stood in the Silicon Valley arbitration chamber, a stark room of steel and glass, the tribunal panel's eyes boring into him. His tie chafed, blood still crusting his knuckles from the shattered phone. Across the table, Sophia sat poised, her navy blazer crisp, a faint smirk tugging her lips. He slapped a USB drive onto the podium, voice steady but raw. Sophia's AI didn't glitch. It stole $10 million. Here's the proof. Transaction logs. Her code. My old passwords she exploited. The panel murmured, tablets flickering as they scrolled his data. Sophia rose, heels clicking, her tone silk over steel. Mike's paranoid. It's a bug, not a crime. I'd never hurt Papa's company. She slid a sleek report forward. Charts, timestamps, a polished lie. He's suffocating me, like always. The lead arbiter, a gray-haired coder, frowned, glancing between them. Mike's jaw tightened, fists balling. A bug, he barked, slamming the table, the thud echoing. That bug has my college code. Mikey Sophia, 99, buried in it. He saw her at 22, crashing on his couch after a failed startup, sobbing, "You're all I've got, Mikey." Now she wielded that trust like a blade. The room buzzed. Reporters in the back tapped furiously, X lighting up. Sophia's fighting back. A panelist leaned in. "Mr. Torres, why'd she use your codes?" Mike froze, breath catching. "Because I trusted her," he rasped, voice cracking, "and she knew I'd never look." Sophia's eyes flickered. Guilt, triumph, gone too fast to tell. Elena sat in the gallery, arms crossed, her doubt a silent knife. Luis's frail plea, Familia Primero, rang in his skull, but the logs burned brighter. "Show them," he growled, plugging the drive in. The screen flared, raw code, damning timestamps. Yet Sophia's calm held, a wall he couldn't breach. The arbiter adjusted his glasses. "We'll need more," Mr. Torres. Mike's pulse roared. The truth teetering, Sophia's mask still intact, daring him to shatter it completely. Mike stumbled from the tribunal chamber, the steel doors clanging shut as his phone erupted, X notifications flooding like a tidal wave. His breath hitched as he swiped, a thread from Sophia's account, time-stamped minutes ago, pinned at 20,000 likes. Leaked chats. Mike knew about the glitch, pushed me to hide it. Screenshots glowed, his name, his words twisted. "Cover it up, Sophia. We'll fix it later." His knees buckled, the corridor's fluorescent buzz a drill in his skull. "She faked it," he rasped, voice lost to the hum. But the mob didn't care. He scrolled, hands shaking. Her startup allies piled on. Mike's the real hack. Torres text toast. A live ticker flashed, stock plummeting, 30% down in an hour. He saw Sophia at 16, forging his signature for a prank note, giggling, "We're unstoppable, Mikey." Now that skill gutted him. His phone buzzed. "Elena. Clients are pulling out. Explain this." He hurled it against the wall, plastic splintering, blood from his knuckles smearing the screen. "She's burying me alive," he thought, chest heaving. The empire Luis built, crumbling under her venom. Outside, a reporter shoved a mic in his face. "Did you conspire with Sophia, Mr. Torres?" Mike shoved past, the crowd's shouts, "Traitor! Sell out!" ringing in his ears. X flared again, hashtag cancel Mike Torres, trending. He'd been the shield, the grunt, now the villain in her story. A memory stabbed, Sophia at 25, toasting him at Luis's 60th. "To my big brother, my rock." The glass slipped from his mind's grip, shattering like his trust. He sank against a pillar, Silicon Valley's skyline a blur, through tears he wouldn't let fall. Sophia's smirk from the tribunal lingered, her revenge a blade he'd sharpened with every controlling word. The world spun, his name trashed, and Luis's frail voice, "Don't let her fall," mocked him as he teetered on the edge of ruin. Mike slumped into the vinyl chair beside Luis's hospital bed, the heart monitors beep, a relentless pulse in the dim room. Rain streaked the window, Silicon Valley's lights smearing into a haze. Luis lay still, chest rising weakly under thin sheets, his cane propped against the wall, a relic of the man who'd built Torres Tech. Mike's hands, blood-crusted from the shattered phone, clutched the tribunal USB drive, its weight a noose. "I showed them, Papa," he whispered, voice raw. "Sophia's a liar. $10 million gone." Luis's eyes fluttered open, clouded but sharp. "Miguel, don't destroy her," he croaked, fingers trembling toward him. "Familia primero." Mike's throat burned, the words a lash. He saw Sophia at 8, braids bouncing, tugging him to a Dia de los Muertos altar. "For Abuela," she'd said, lighting candles, her small hand in his. He'd sworn to protect her, through her scrapped knees, her failed robots, her tears. Now her leaked chats branded him a traitor, Torres Tech's stock in freefall, his name dirt on X. "She destroyed us," he growled, but Luis's grip tightened, frail yet fierce. "You pushed her away. Fix this." He staggered to the window, rain drumming his reflection, hollow eyes, a man unmoored. Did I make her do this? The thought clawed him, jagged and deep. A dream flickered. Sophia laughing, pulling him into a dance at Luis's 50th, whispering, "You're my hero, Mikey." He jolted awake, the USB slipping, clattering on the tile. Hero turned villain. Her revenge had gutted him, yet Luis's plea pinned him still. "I can't let her win," he muttered, but the words cracked, doubt seeping in like damp rot. His phone buzzed. Elena. "Stocks at 50%. Tribunal resumes tomorrow. Be ready." He crushed it in his fist, glass biting anew, blood dripping. Sophia's smirk from the hearing loomed, her fake tears a mask he'd once believed. He'd built those servers for family, not her greed, yet letting her fall felt like killing Luis too. The monitor beeped louder, a countdown to a verdict he couldn't escape, tearing him between justice and the boy who'd promised to save her. Mike stood frozen in the hospital parking lot, rain soaking his jacket, the USB drive a cold lump in his pocket. The tribunal's verdict loomed, hours away, a guillotine poised over Sophia's fate and his own. His boots splashed through puddles, each step heavier, the neon glow of Silicon Valley a distant taunt. Luis's frail voice, "Don't destroy her," clashed with the code's truth, a war splitting his skull. He clutched the photo from his wallet, edges worn. Sophia, Luis, him at Dia de los Innovadores, smiling like nothing could break them. "I'm losing you both," he rasped, voice lost to the storm, blood from his knuckles staining her grin. He saw her at 14, rigging a robot race, winking, "Cheat to win, Mikey." Had she cheated him too? Or had he rigged her to fail with his control? The USB burned, proof to bury her, $10 million traced to her AI, his passwords her weapon. But Luis's plea pinned him. Save her, save family. He kicked the curb, concrete biting his toe, a growl ripping free. "She doesn't deserve it," he snarled, yet doubt gnawed, her smirk at the hearing, her tears, real or fake. His phone buzzed, X ablaze. Mike's a fraud. Sophia's innocent. The world had chosen, and he stood alone. Luis lingered in the background, discharged but silent. Texts unanswered, his cane tapping through Mike's guilt-laden dreams. Familia primero, he'd said, but Mike couldn't force it now. He leaned back, sunlight cutting through dusty blinds, warming the room's bare walls. Torres Tech limped on under Elena, stock creeping up, but Mike thrived here. Smaller, freer. Sophia's lab thrived too, her marigold yellow logo a nod to Dia de los Innovadores, a past they'd both outgrown. He stood, stretching, the photo catching his eye again. They weren't whole, wouldn't be. Luis's distance a quiet scar, but purpose had rooted in the wreckage. "We're okay," he whispered, the words a fragile truce with himself. The phone stayed silent, but a pull tugged him. Toward her lab, a step he wasn't sure he'd take. Not yet. Mike pulled into the Palo Alto lot. Sophia's lab, a squat building splashed with marigold yellow paint. A defiant bloom against Silicon Valley's steel. His boots crunched gravel, the photo tucked in his jacket like a talisman. Inside, solder and coffee scented the air. Sophia hunched over a circuit board, her ponytail swinging. She looked up, eyes widening, then softening. "Didn't think you'd come," she said, voice tight, setting pliers down with a clink. He shifted, hands shoved deep in pockets. "Had to," he muttered, throat thick. "I fucked up, Sophia," he said, stepping closer, the words spilling raw. "Controlled you, pushed you into this mess. I'm sorry." Her jaw tightened, a flicker of the tribunal smirk, then gone. "I don't need sorry, Mike," she replied, low, steady. "Just needed you to see me. Sophia, not your screw-up kid sister." He winced, seeing her at 15, begging him to back her science fair bot, him laughing it off. "Stick to toys." She turned, gesturing at humming machines. "This is me now. Clean. Mine." Her voice cracked, a plea beneath the steel. "Understand that?" He nodded, slow, the photo burning against his chest. "I do," he rasped, "and I'm proud. Late, but real." She blinked hard, turning away, a solder spark flaring between them. He saw her at 20, crashing his dorm. "You're my anchor, Mikey." Now unmoored, thriving without him. "I can't fix us," he said, boots scuffing back. "Not yet." She nodded, eyes on her work. "Maybe not ever, but this is enough." The air hung heavy, a truce, not a mend. He stepped outside, gravel crunching again, her silhouette framed in the window. Distant, steady. The ache dulled, peace settling fragile as dust. A bond bent but not broken, stretching toward whatever came next. Mike leaned against his San Jose balcony rail. Silicon Valley's dusk painting the sky in bruised purples. 6 months since the lab, he'd rebuilt Torres Tech's trust. Consulting gigs turned into a contract. Patching breaches. His name whispered with respect again. The apartment hummed with a new server rig, a lifeline he'd forged alone. His phone buzzed. "Elena. Stock's up 20%. You're a legend, Torres." He smirked, but the photo on the table, Luis, Sophia, him, dampened it, edges curling from wear. Sophia's Luce 2.0 thrived in Palo Alto, her marigold logo on X, $5 million in ethical AI funding. He'd driven by once, saw her through the window, laughing with coders. Free. Fierce. Luis lingered in Redwood City. Calls rare. His silence a scar Mike traced in quiet moments. "We're not a unit anymore," he murmured, wind snatching the words. The photos, smiles, a faded echo of Dia de los Innovadores. He saw Sophia at 11, braiding his hair for laughs. "You're stuck with me, Mikey." Now unstuck, each orbiting their own sun. He sipped coffee, cold now, the city lights twinkling below. Torres Tech stood. Sophia rose. Luis lived. Stable, not whole. The split had carved them anew, paths diverging yet steady. I didn't lose everything, he thought, fingers brushing the frame, a flicker of peace settling in his chest. The past lingered, a lesson half learned, tugging him toward words he'd soon have to voice. Mike stood on his balcony, Silicon Valley's lights a constellation below, the photo now framed beside his server rig. 6 months had carved a truth into him. Success wasn't Luis's dream or Sophia's shadow. It was his own, built from sweat and scars. He traced the glass, Sophia's grin frozen at Dia de los Innovadores, and smiled, faint but real. "We made it, Hermanita," he whispered, the wind carrying it away. Her Luz 2.0 had dropped a demo online, AI tracing their family in code. Marigolds for Luis, steel for him, fire for her. Broken, beautiful, hers. He saw her at 18, crashing his car, laughing, "You'll fix it, Mikey." He had, always had, until she didn't need fixing. "It's not about control," he murmured, realization settling like dusk. Luis's silence ached, but Mike stood taller, unshackled. Sophia's art coded their fracture into strength, a lesson he'd fought to learn. Let go, let grow. He leaned on the rail, coffee warm in his hands, the city humming with possibility. "We're enough," he said, voice steady, the weight lifting as stars pierced the dark. "And you, what's your story?" Mike faced betrayal, chose truth over blood. "Where's your line?" Sophia painted pain into purpose. "What's your art?" Drop it in the comments. A time you broke free or held on too long. Hit like, subscribe. This family's mess proves it. From ashes, you build. Mike turned inside, the frame glinting, a quiet vow to keep coding his own light, inspiring anyone watching to do the same.